As we began reading the book of Exodus, we did read about the children of Israel who will be leaving Exodus with the riches of Egypt, great substance. Yes, they left with the riches of material gains and also of livestock. Although Yehovah fed them with manna and quail, they did have livestock, but it was used for offerings. And now their riches that they have gained, the material that they gained, will be used for the building of the tabernacle after the pattern that Yehovah shows Moses. And don't forget that he also showed him the pattern of the priest's attire, how the high priest's garments supposed to be looking. How else will they use the riches that came from Egypt in the wilderness? Remember, Moses was up in Mount Sinai with Joshua, and this was 40 days that he will be up there in the presence of Yehovah. So this is where he's getting this information. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're working towards becoming a harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is PATRICE Robinson, and as always, I really appreciate you coming by on today, hitting that subscribe button, comment, and sharing this video as a way of you showing your support. So we're going to go over the significant events in Exodus chapters 25 through 27. Chapter 25. Yehovah instructed Moses to take up an offering. So remember, he's in the mountain and Yehovah's giving him these instructions. So he said, take up an offering for those that are willing to give. And he gave him a list of items to ask for to build a sanctuary so that he may dwell among them. Yehovah showed Moses the pattern of each item to be built. The first item Yehovah discusses is the Ark of Covenant. This is a central place of communication with the high priest. And of course, he will also speak to Moses. But this is, the high priest goes in once a year in the Ark of Covenant between the cherubims. That's where Yehovah will speak. The covenant ark had poles that will be, of course, addition to it, but the poles for the Ark of Covenant has to remain in there. The rings and the poles will remain in the rings. Yehovah told them not to remove them. The next piece of furniture was the table of showbread, which requires for bread to be continually set on a table, which is eaten by the priest. And then we have the 7-branch lampstand, the menorah. The lamp that is lit, it has to be lit 24 hours a day. Each of these items are covered with gold. Chapter 26. Here we see the instructions for the curtains with the cherubim patterns with gold clamps and much more. The curtain is to cover the entire tabernacle, the board, the bases, the veil, to serve as a partition from the holy place to the most holy place. Chapter 27. Here we have the bronze altar, along with the pails, the shovels, the basins, the forks, and everything that goes along with it. So this is where the offerings would take place for the finest, clean animals with no defects. You have to have the finest animal. The focus today is the free will offering. These 3 chapters covered only parts of the development of the tabernacle, the Mishkan. We have Moses in the mountain receiving instructions from Yehovah on building a place that he will be able to commune with his people, that he will be able to dwell among his people. The same people that rejected to hear his voice, the same people that he attempted to visit and give his instruction to, he still wants to be among his people, to dwell right in the midst of them. But we're going to hold off discussing about the tabernacle because there's still more furniture and items and instructions from the other chapters before it's actually completed. One thing to remember is that Yehovah not only provided the instructions, but he also showed Moses the items in heaven. He actually had a visual, so he knew what he was making. So it wasn't just he just gave him the instructions only. He showed him what he needed to make. And we will get to more of that in the future, everything in its timing. And because we actually have some new believers and some Christians that need to get some foundation before we can explain the more meatier things. Now, back to the free will offering. Yehovah told Moses to go to the children of Israel and you speak and you ask for the things, but they have to be the ones who's willing to give. It had to be who's willing from their heart to give to build the sanctuary. The gifts, the contributions is to come from those that are willing to have an open heart to give, not from someone who's going to debate, who has to think about it, who has to, take a few weeks or a few days and calculate things. But this is something that had to come from the heart. Because you know how we can get. We have to think about things when it's talking about give sometimes. But the Bible says that he loves a cheerful giver. So give out of your heart. The question is, where did all this jewelry come from? Where did all the goat hair and the gold and the olive oil come from? Remember we said in the very beginning? These came from the items, the great substance that they had left from Egypt. They brought along with them. So he didn't just bless them with the riches of Egypt just to have for themselves for no reason at all, because in the wilderness, where you're going to spend it at, what you're going to do with it? They came out the great substance. He blessed them so that they can be a blessing. Now, as you continue in Exodus, I just really love the way Yehovah set up the economy, the commerce and things like that. It was just a way for someone to continue to thrive in his kingdom. Next week, Torah Chat Points, we chapter 28 through 30. As always, man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yehovah. I will see you on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. for Hanukkah versus Christmas. And I will see you next Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Thank you.